understanding what it is that would help you stand out from other people is going to help you with the SEO. So like, I wouldn't do the SEO first. I would figure out, okay, what is your business? What sets it apart? And then that's going to really help you easily come up with those search words, because when you know your audience, you know what they're looking for and what they're struggling with, and that's what they're searching for.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Society podcast. This is the podcast for anybody and everybody in the health and wellness industry that wants to grow their business. I'm your host, Alexa Cawley. I'm the CEO and president of Forever Friday Consulting, where I work with private clients one-on-one to help them scale their brands and reach amazing people. On this podcast, we talk to industry leaders and experts that have built really amazing brands within the health and wellness industry to teach you how to do the exact same thing. I worked for some of the biggest names in the health and wellness field, like Lululemon and SoulCycle, and I take everything that I've learned, plus our industry's amazing experts, and bring it to you. All right, guys, let's get into the episode. It is a really good one, so drop me a line on Instagram at foreverfriday.co, and let's get to it. Hi, friends. Welcome back. I know it's been a hot minute since there's been a new episode. Things have just been so busy, but so good. So the membership has launched, I think, like 6 weeks ago now, and it's going so well. I'm so proud of you guys, and I just love watching the way that you connect with each other and how you relate to the content and the webinars and all the office hours. So I'm loving that. I'm planning a business development weekend, which I'm so excited about. That'll take place in New York. It's going to be awesome. We're going to start with a workout, then do a few hours of business development, and then have dinner and drinks. And we'll do that for 2 days in a row. So that I'm thrilled about. It's something that I've done a lot in the past at Lululemon. And I actually have enlisted the help of one of my best friends who did a lot of planning for Lululemon events for the really large scale, really awesome ones. So she's going to help me be planning that. So that's amazing. And there's just so much awesome stuff going on. So definitely keep up on Instagram and let's, chat so you can see all the things going on. But I hope that you guys are doing really well. I know things have just been kind of heavy with everything in the world. So if you're a small business owner and you do still need to show up every single day, I just want to let you know I'm here with you. I'm feeling all the things and also, trying to show up for work. So I know you guys are doing that too, and I see it and I am proud of you. So without further ado, let's get into the episode with Christie. It's awesome. I've been following her work actually for a while because her websites are so gorgeous, and you'll hear us talk about it in the episode, but we actually share a few clients, which is really fun. So yeah, let's get into the episode. She has amazing tips for SEO, branding, all the awesome stuff, and I hope you guys love it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Society. I am here today with Christie Evenson. I'm super excited to talk to you, Christie. I feel like we've had a lot of overlap. We have some overlap of clients, which is really cool. I feel like we're the tag team of certain fitness entrepreneurs. But welcome to the show, and can't wait to get started.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So tell everybody a little bit about you. Where are you located? What's your job? What do you do for people?
Yeah, so I'm in Chicago. I'm a brand and web designer. Yeah, mostly focused on brand and web design and enjoy working on custom clients. And then I also have the FitPro Launch Lab, which is brand and web templates and videos and all that fun stuff specifically for Fit Pros.
I love it. How did you get started in brand design? Where did it come from for you?
Yeah, well, I went to college for design, and then I went into, a marketing agency after school, and just kind of started freelancing on the side. And those are usually more branding projects. And then, I was always doing the fitness group classes on the side and just kind of meshed the two and kind of made that my niche for my branding. And it helps that that's kind of who I'm surrounded with all the time anyways. So yeah. I love working in this industry, and branding is really fun because it's such an impactful part of a business.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So let's just sort of get right into it. I know there's a lot a lot of the people who listen to the show are maybe in early stages of their fitness business or are, kind of small and are happy with that. So let's talk about why a website is essential. I know I've heard this a lot lately, and I don't know about you, but I've heard well, with social media, why would I need a website? And I've gotten a lot of that. So let's talk about why a website is essential for small business owners.
Oh man. Yes, I've definitely heard that. And there's so many reasons why you should definitely have a website. First and foremost, it's a representation of your business online beyond social media. If somebody Googles your name, the first thing that comes up should probably be your website, if it's not the second. So it's a representation of your business. It gives you credibility when you have a website. It just kind of shows that you are a legit business, especially with anyone able to, be online and sell products. You want to kind of have that credibility to back up your business so that people know, okay, I'm giving money to a real person like this, like they care about the business. They're showing up in a very real way. Yeah. And then beyond that, it's a great tool. Like it's a way to sell your services, give people information about your services. So you're spending less time like DMing people about it. They can clearly see what you have to offer that they might not have known about before if it wasn't clearly on your site. And it's just a really easy way for people to sign up. So especially in the fitness world, when you're doing Zoom classes and even in-person classes, just to be able to send people to a page where they can pick a time for class, sign up, or even for one-on-one, just like picking a time on your schedule. There's no back and forth of does this time work for you or this time? And then I feel like
if anybody makes me do that in this day and age, I'm like, that's a no.
Yeah. I just tell everyone, get a scheduler. Like I don't even have fitness classes. And I'm like, anyone that makes a meeting with me, just pick a time on the schedule. I'm not going back and forth. Just makes everything easier for you and the clients.
I love it. Okay. So definitely hearing legitimacy. I think that's massive because I agree with you. I've definitely seen people where it's like, oh, pay via Venmo or like, and I'm like, oh, what's your site? And they're like, oh, it's under construction. And like that always signals a huge red flag to me. So let's say, I know that I do have some people that are, followers and listeners that are they've been with their website like under construction for a while. Do you have maybe tips for like a placeholder website, or what are your tips for, if you don't have a website currently, but you want it to look really great, so you want to spend a lot of time on it? Like, what's your interim solution for people?
Yeah, I would say having a landing page that is more than just, website coming soon. Like have a place to email you, social media links, even like a contact form would be good. Or, if you are having fitness classes, having your actual schedule on there, because that's pretty quick to just embed onto a site. So just having like the necessities there and just having it look really clean and nice. And then, from there, you can add more of like the compelling copy and things like that of the more robust website down the road. But at least then they have like a good first impression and a place where they can sign up to work with you. Because that's, of course, why we have a website.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about tips for SEO. You said like when you Google someone, your website really should be the first or second thing that comes up. I know that the world of Google rankings feels like, it feels like learning another language to a lot of people, especially a lot of small business owners that are juggling a bajillion other things. So what tips do you have to, boost your SEO and like just help out the tech side of things to boost visibility?
Yeah, for sure. So, first, like we said, just having a website helps you show up in Google. Because a lot of people in fitness, they'll find clients by people like hearing their name from a friend, and then they look for the site to find that legitimacy and learn more about them. And then from there, you can use SEO for, you can add page titles using things like whether if you're an in-person studio, you can use like the city you're in or, the type of workout that you do, things like that. and page descriptions. Also having a blog is really helpful for SEO because it gives a lot of value that people and answers questions that people might be searching in Google. So those are the main places that I typically suggest starting when it comes to SEO. You can get very detailed in like the website copy and using keywords and stuff like that. But I typically, that can get very like complex. And so I typically recommend just like focusing on the page titles and things like that, and using it as a place for it to show up in Google when they're looking like specifically for you and for exactly what you're offering.
Yeah. I think the location thing is such a big missing link that I see from a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And that's such an awesome thing to bring up is like, you know, if you want people to find your website from Google, think about what they're searching. Right. So like, are they searching, you know, Pilates in Rhode Island? Are they searching, you know, Megaformer in Santa Barbara, California? Like, these are the things that I think it's hard to like apply that. And then, but then you go back to your site with that sort of filter and you're like, oh God. And it's the same for me. Like every now and again, I'm like, okay, wait, what would people be searching actually to find me? And I'm like, oh, my website doesn't say that anywhere. So,
right. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things too, because we always come back to, you know, with any of my clients, when we talk about like the brand strategy side of like understanding who your audience is, what what makes you unique, what's your niche, even if it's not like, you know, as specific, but just understanding what it is that would help you stand out from other people is going to help you with the SEO. So like, I wouldn't do the SEO first. I would figure out, okay, what is your business? What sets it apart? And then that's going to really help you easily come up with those search words. Because when you know your audience, you know what they're looking for and what they're struggling with. And that's what they're searching for.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk, how often should people be refreshing their website?
So really, there's no need to change the design unless you have like content that needs to change, or if it's been like a decade and, you know, styles change and things like that. But that's rarely the case. Usually people are making some change before that. But anytime like your offers change, maybe your audience, like target audience has shifted a little bit, that could be a time to refresh it. You know, in business, things tend to shift, especially like the longer we go and the more narrow we get into a niche. So it's always kind of refining, especially the copy, but also if your offer changes at all, and if you change, you know, your focus, then you might need to change like what is a priority on your site. So I know like that's often happened with mine of, okay, this used to be my focus and now I'm kind of going in this other direction. I need my website to reflect that as being the number one like priority that I want people to see when they come to the site. So yeah, it's just as things like that change in your business, that's when it needs a refresh, but it definitely, the look of it doesn't need to constantly be changing. That's more for social media to be constantly changing, and your website is much more set in stone. And
yes, that's a great way to put it. I love that. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you something that is like kind of off the cuff. So, you know, for me, for example, like I'm very much a doer and then I figure it out later. Like I'm like, okay, you know, this, like I want to, you know, and this is what I did with my website where I was like, oh, I like this template. I don't have a website for my podcast. I'm going to buy the template and fill it out as I go. And we'll talk a lot about templates too, because I definitely want to chat about that. You know, and so I hear a lot of people though, they get overwhelmed because they're like, oh, well, I have to write all this copy and I have to take pictures and I have to pick a template, you know, and I have to do all this stuff. So copy, photos, design, what order do you really think like things should go in? Like when should people be getting, you know, their brand photos done? Like what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So this is something I often talk about because I absolutely know that when people get a template, then like it's all exciting because there's this new design and you're like, oh shoot, I have to actually fill it in. So yes, I always recommend doing the photos and copy first. typically you want to schedule the photo shoot first, just because like the timing of that can be, depending on the photographer, it can be a little farther out. So I always say schedule your photo shoot, get those done, and then work on the copy. And actually, even before that, getting into that brand strategy, understanding who's your audience, what your core values are. And all of that helps then inform, the style of photos you want to take and the color palette that you're going to be working with, since that could be reflected in the photos. And it'll make it so much easier to write your copy when you understand your audience. So having that foundation is actually where I'd suggest starting, then photos and copy. And then the site, just especially when you have a template, then just kind of falls together. You just plug in everything you just created into the template, and it's much easier.
I love that. I did not do it in that order, but
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't, and that's why they get stuck.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So I love that. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about templates. So a lot of people, I mean, when I started, I'll just use myself as an example. When I started my business, I was on Squarespace, and Squarespace, I think, was a very different, it was a very different software, 5-6 years ago when I first started taking a stab at things. So I've since moved to Show It. I love it. I think it's like the Canva of website builders. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about what platforms you like, the different, benefits and cons of each. And talk to me about, your opinions.
Yeah. Well, I love Show It. So I always suggest when I work with clients that we work with Show It. I don't think Squarespace is like the worst platform ever. I think it has a time and place. And if a template there works for you to start out, it's a fine place to start. I started my website on Squarespace, but it gets tricky when you actually want to customize it more and you have an idea or a different idea of how you want that site flow to go and how you want that user experience to go. If a template on Squarespace doesn't perfectly match that, I feel like it's a lot harder to change things around. You're kind of locked into the template unless you get into coding and things like that. But most of us don't want to get in. Like if you're looking for a template, you're probably not playing around with coding too much. So that's why I really like Squarespace, because there is no coding involved, but you have complete creative freedom to move things around on the page. You can change mobile separate from desktop, so you're not, locked into a mobile layout, and you can really make that mobile experience amazing, since so many people are, viewing websites on mobile. Plus it's connected to WordPress. So you have that blogging capability of like the best blogging platform there is, which ties into the SEO. So there's so many reasons I love it, but I think it's just really easy to customize and really make your own. And even if you're working off of a template, you can shift those elements a little bit or as much as you want based on what you need for your brand and website.
Yeah, I think I didn't even realize that they had the WordPress integration, and it's like $4 extra a month or something. And then I was like, oh, okay, I guess I should start, having a blog. So yeah, I think that's such an awesome way to put it.
Yeah. And you have like the WordPress plugins and anything like that also goes along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Okay. So you mentioned mobile versus desktop. What are you seeing in terms of how often are people looking at mobile versus desktop? What should people be prioritizing? And is there a different way that you should approach mobile versus desktop?
Yeah. So I think it really depends on the, what the website is, depending on whether they look at it on mobile or desktop. It depends on the person. But I think when it comes to fitness, there's a lot of fitness apps now. And so people like to be able to get their workout on their phone. Some definitely still watch them on desktop, especially when it's connected to a website. But if you have your website mobile friendly, then your website's really no different than one of those apps when it comes to watching an on-demand workout. So I still design desktop first and then go in and design mobile, but it's also something that you can be conscious of when you're creating the desktop design is that that content's going to have to translate to mobile. And it's a much smaller space. So like when you're writing your copy, something that looks great, like paragraphs long on desktop, is going to be tons of scrolling on mobile. So yeah, you kind of have to think about both while you're creating the content. And then it won't be overwhelming on mobile if it looks long on desktop.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I know. I feel like I've definitely helped out clients, and then we've looked at it on mobile, and then I'm like, oh, that's way too much information. Like, we need to cut that down. So yeah, you're definitely working on the smaller space.
Yeah. And there's definitely times where there's ways to break up copy with different headings and subheadings, and you can group content. I always say, like, a website, you have an infinite amount of space, like vertically. So just extend it down the page, like help the reader move through the content. It doesn't need to all be in one screen above the fold, and it shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Now that we're talking about, like, space and, all this stuff, what tips do you have to make websites easier to navigate? Like, I guess sort of like, how do you like put yourself in the brain of like, okay, so-and-so is going to want to look at this, and then maybe they're going to want to book the schedule. And then like, how do you map out the navigation of the website? Yeah.
So, right. It goes back to understanding what your audience is looking for and like what's going to be most important to them when they come to the site. So some of that comes in with the copy, and some is with like call to action buttons. So, you first think about, okay, what's the like headline that's really going to draw them in? And then you kind of want to direct them through the site. So you tell them, okay, now go to this link to read more about this, or to sign up to work with me, things like that. So you want to always be guiding them through the site, not just like assuming they'll go up to the top and click the contact button. You want to have the call to actions throughout the page, and just be really thinking about what would you have to say that would bring them to action. What is it that they're looking for, that when you say that they'll click the button that you want them to and get what they want out of it.
Yeah, and that's so helpful.
And then I also think, in terms of like that top navigation bar, or if it's like a drop down, that's an area that you want to be super clear as well. So that's not a spot where you want to get very creative with the copy. You want to have those links be very typical that you would see in like a main navigation. So a lot of times with like a blog, people tend to get like creative, like, oh, it's a journal or something like that, which people might be able to like infer what it is, but it's going to be more helpful if you just call it a blog.
Yeah. So your navigation bar is not the place to get like cheeky.
Right. On the actual page, sure, make that headline whatever you want. But when people see the navigation, they need to immediately know, okay, the about page, I'm going to learn about who you are. The contact like has a few, you could say like work with me or reach out, or like that one can be other things, but it's best to just make sure it's as clear as possible. You don't want any people questioning what that is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's so smart. And it's also it's exactly the same for Instagram highlights. Like, I had a client yesterday ask me, like, what should I be doing with my Instagram highlights? And I was like, have it be reflective of your website. Exactly. Because no one who follows you and who knows you well is looking at your highlights. That's not who's looking.
Right.
The people that are looking at your highlights are someone that just found your page, and now they want to scroll through and like learn about you. So like, I was like, whatever your navigation bar is on your website, like that should be your Instagram highlights.
That's such a good point. I love that. I've never thought of it like that, but it's so true. It's like no one's constantly going to your page to look at your highlights, that they, when they follow you, they see it in real time.
They see it in real time. They don't feel like they need to. Okay. So besides like clear copy, eye-catching design, what are your essential website must-haves?
Yeah. So I think you need everything that will help your clients sign up. So, first you need the great first impression. So high quality photography, compelling copy, and then clear call to actions to get them to the page to sign up, and then ultimately a way to sign up. So a lot of times for fitness, anything that's not like a super high ticket offer, I always would have someone, have a place right embedded on the website to pick a time, pay for class, like do it all right there. So there's no back and forth with you. So having that embedded schedule on the site, or a contact form, if that's more the route you're going, but just some way to reach out. And those are, I would say, are the most important pieces.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a really good play-by-play of like exactly what everyone should have. Okay. We're going to get into some rapid fire questions. Before we do that, I just want to say I'm so excited for you to present to the Friday Society membership. Was it next week? In 2 weeks, right? I think in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Based on whenever we're publishing this, but I'm so excited to like go deeper into this. I feel like I already have some tweaks that I'm going to be making to my website, and I'm like, I'm just so excited. So
Yay.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and also coming on the membership.
No, I love doing this. So thanks for having me.
Yay. Okay. Rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I think I know the answer to this first one. What is your number one favorite way to work out?
So right now, probably running. I feel like I love everything. That's really hard to narrow it down, but I'm very, very focused on running right now. But I also love swimming and yoga and Pilates.
Yeah. I know.
Like anything.
I don't think I'd be able to answer. Which is not fair.
I know it's tough.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say running because you've been doing a lot of work with like running groups, right?
Yeah. I'm training for a half right now, and I'm in a couple groups, and it's just like, it's so social that I really love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to also get the strength in and the yoga to relax. You can't just have one.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. Yeah. Software, only one that you cannot run your business without. Only one.
Yeah, that's so tough.
I know.
I mean, I'd probably have to say Show It, just because that's where I make all the websites. But at the same time, like the whole Adobe suite, I want all of them.
Right. That's true. That's true. Best business advice you ever got?
I think doing less, like simplifying, especially when it comes to like your offers and packages, makes it so much easier just to, have a price. This is what I offer. That's always what you're selling. Having 1 to 2, like to focus on just makes it so much easier to always be talking about that one thing and not feel like I have a million things in my head of like, oh, well, I need to talk about this day and this day, and trying to figure out what's the right option for every person that comes in the door. It's just a lot easier to, maybe they vary a little bit with each one, but having like that main offer. Yeah.
I'm curious when you really learned that, because I had that moment too, where I think after, a year and a half of being in business, I was like, all right, I need to change. Like I need one streamlined thing and that's it. And it really changed my business. And so I'm curious, like when that happened for you, because I think it's, it's the plight of the early entrepreneur of like, I want to get all the projects. So I'm going to make sure that everyone's really happy and that I'm tailoring every single thing. And it's like very quickly realize then that you don't actually have a business. Like if you're not clear with what your product is, it's not actually a business. So you're just like a solution, like a problem solver sort of without knowing.
No, it like way too recently, like in the last year, I feel like was when I was actually narrowing down. And part of that was just like consolidating. Like I had the website templates as their own thing and the Fit Pro Launch Lab, which has the website templates in it. And I was like, why am I selling these separate, you need the video to go along with it. We're just going to make this one offer. And same with like, I have the custom work as well. So now I have a couple things, but that's been interesting too, of like, I had the custom work first, and adding in the Fit Pro Launch Lab kind of threw me for a loop, because I'm like, okay, well, which one do I sell? And so, figuring out or getting rid of like some of the other things I had going on has definitely helped, just have those two to focus on. Like, I was doing design and day intensives that like everyone else was doing it. So I was like, that's a good idea. Like, I'll do that too. And we see that all the time with people in fitness too. Like, there's so many options, right? Whether it's on demand or one-on-one or live virtual classes. And, there's so many options you could offer, but it just like, it gets too much, and people don't need that many options, and probably don't want that many options.
Right. And like, I mean, if you can't answer the question of like, this is what I do in one sentence, then it's, then of course your ideal client can't answer that question for you, and that's why I think you have to get really clear with what your business is, so that, because you're going to feel like you're repeating yourself too. And that's something that like, I think I struggle with, and I'm curious if you do too, but I'm like, it just doesn't land the same way for people. Like, they don't internalize everything you're saying. So you got to get more focused and clear.
Right. Yeah. And I think even now that I have kind of two different offers, they're essentially the same. It's just the amount of one-on-one time. Like, it's the same process. It's the same, designs and things like that. It's just kind of the format of it is slightly different. So it can feel so repetitive, because it feels like I'm always talking about the same thing, just figuring out a different way to talk about it. But that's how it hits home, because you have to say things so many times before it clicks with somebody.
Yep. 100%. Okay. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
This one's so tough, and something I think about all the time. I think ultimately I would live in Chicago, which is like boring, I feel like, but I think
it's nice.
because I always like consider other places to live. I think it would be cool to live in like Boston, especially with the Boston Marathon just happening. I was like, well, that seems fun. And in March, I would wish I like live in California or Charleston or somewhere warmer.
March is the worst month. I don't care what anyone says. It's, if you live in the Northeast or anywhere cold, it's the worst month in the world. Ugh,
you expect it to be spring, and it's just not.
No. And it's like, not even is it not spring. It's like lately it's been the worst of winter. So you're like, I've gone through 5 months of freezing, and now all of a sudden it's like negative outside.
Right. So my plan is, I love Chicago, and I love like, especially like being so involved in fitness. The community here is amazing, and I love the lakefront. So like, I don't want to leave that, but I do want to experience living other places. So I want to go live for like a month each year in a place that I'd be curious about living in. So then I can pick like the best month for that location. And just live there then, and then I can experience that, but not leave the city that I really like.
And I mean, you know what? Like, why not take advantage of remote work? Like, we're doing ourselves a disservice by not taking advantage of it.
Right.
Okay. Dream job besides what you're doing right now.
Yeah, this one was tough. I think like it's not like crazy out there, but I feel like if I would do some kind of like fitness coaching, whether it's like being like a run coach or yoga teacher, like I would love to learn more about like the human body in that aspect too, and like get into like the science of it. And it's something I've thought about doing like on the side before, but then I came back to that simplifying, and I don't need to do everything. And
well, I got certified for yoga, but I don't teach. Like, I just did it just to learn more about yoga. So you could do that. It's a good way to like take your brain off of work.
Right. Yeah. And I might do that at some point. So I could do that as a different job.
I love it. Okay. And then lastly, one lesson that you took from the pandemic that you want to keep with you.
Yeah, I think just figuring out what's right for me in terms of like, day-to-day routines and wellness and things like that. I think there were so many ideas of how we can, have a better day-to-day life and have a better morning routine and things like that. And now that we have, the fitness and in-person option available, it's just nice that we can kind of just pick what works best for us. So there's certain things that now, certain activities I do mostly virtual because of the convenience of it. And then other things that I love being in person. And so I've like found the right balance with that. And then when it came to like my morning routine and that kind of wellness based stuff, I felt like at a certain point, I just kept like stacking more onto it until I was at a point where I was like hurrying through my morning routine. So I was like, I need to actually get to work at some point. So now just coming back to like, okay, pulling back to what actually is good. I don't need to do everything. And kind of simplifying in that aspect.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so great. Okay, Christie, where can people find you besides, speaking for the Friday Society members? Where can they find you? How can they work with you and see more of your work?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, ChristieEvenson.com. Also my Instagram is Christie Evenson, just keeping it very simple with my name. And those are the two main spots. I have the Fit Pro Launch Lab for fitness professionals with website templates and video tutorials and monthly calls and all that fun support. And then custom projects as well. So,
Amazing. And you guys, she has done the websites of some of my clients and they're like eye-catching and gorgeous. So definitely recommend. All that stuff will be in the show notes so that everybody can catch it. But Christie, thank you so much. This was so helpful. So like straight to the point, like this is what you need to do. And I'm sure everyone is going to have notes. So I'm very excited to see. And you guys, if you do make like changes to your website or updates or anything, or if you're taking anything from this episode, tag us on Instagram so that we can see, what you're doing and the updates that you've made.
Yes, I would love that.
Amazing. Christie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
All right, guys, I hope that you loved that episode. Christie is actually going to be presenting to my amazing members on June 9th. So if you're listening to this before then, I would say definitely hop into the membership. So, you can get more of her and go deeper into this conversation. So you can sign up at foreverfriday.co/membership, but there is a special price in the show notes of this episode for all of you podcast listeners. Okay, guys, talk to you soon.